The world is no longer safe for the dragon rider Murtagh and his dragon, Thorn. An evil king has been toppled, and they are left to face the consequences of the reluctant role they played in his reign of terror. Now they are hated and alone, exiled to the outskirts of society. Hello and welcome to Liam's Lyceum. I'm your host Liam, aka Hembar. Today we'll be doing a spoiler-free review of Christopher Paolini's Murtagh. Murtagh is a 2023 novel by Christopher Paolini. It is kind of sort of book 5 of the Inheritance cycle, though it's been more than a decade after book 4, and with Murtagh as the main character rather than Eragon, and by the words of the author himself, it's really a spin-off. But it is the 5th novel set in the world of Alagacia, and the 6th if you want to count the short story collection that came out in 2018, I believe. I have not reviewed any of the previous books by Paolini, but I did read that short story collection when it came out, and I read, I read all the other books when they were new-ish. I remember reading Inheritance when that came out at least, but I have not reviewed them here. But Murtagh is with Thorn, of course, and his dragon as they investigate certain things. It's been a year since the end of Galwatorix, his death and the crowning of Nasuada. There are 5 parts of the book. Most are named after the location they are set in. Part 2 and 3 are the longest. Part 1 is Seyunan, a smaller city currently celebrating the harvest of Madentide at the start of the book. It's cold early in the season so far north. The city is east and a bit north of Carvajal, for those who don't remember where the city is. I don't think we ever see it in the Inheritance cycle. Murtagh has been even further north in more rural parts, and he and Thorn have been largely alone there. The problem comes with a weird encounter in this city, and it felt rather Lovecraftian, with madness and odd death and talk of a sleeper. Gilead, the city, then makes an appearance as that quickly becomes a stop along Murtagh's goal. I'm not sure we've really seen it since the first book. I think it plays a role in the later books. I don't think you actually see it. Murtagh himself is a conflicted character. The dwarves don't like him for killing their last king, and the elves don't like him because of the death of Oramus and Glader. Humans tend to believe he betrayed the Varden to Galwatorix as well. Murtagh feels tainted by his father's betrayal of the Dragon Riders, and also his role in serving Galwatorix, even though he was magically compelled to do so. We see his uncertainty in every thought, and his relationship with Thorn not being as friendly as Eragon's fears, though it's not bad. His sword, Zarok, whatever it is a blessing, but was his father's, and, that unsurprisingly it means misery, and it brings much misery. Murtagh also was raised among the nobility, so he knows such ways and is quite into poetry, actually, writing his own. So he's an interesting character, definitely different than Eragon. Some of the nice sayings here feels more mature, I think. A phrase that's from Tolkien, who got it from William Morris, is included in this book. I will tell you what the phrase is, maybe you can spot it. Also a scene involving some sorcery of Horza, the shade that recalls Beowulf, the mirror to me. It feels older, probably because Paolini is an older and more experienced writer, but also Murtagh has more of an education than Eragon, so that works well with that change in voice. But as mentioned earlier, it seems to take some notes from weird fiction. Whether that's purposeful or not, I don't know. And afterward, Paolini does say it originally was envisioned as an Edgar Rice Burroughs adventure, like prestige-type novel. Not explicit prestige, but it does seem that he's aware of pulp, so that would make sense. But overall, I did enjoy this novel. I think maybe it's a little long, a tad long, which is a problem of epic fantasy in general. So I think if he had stuck more to the ideas of that Edgar Rice Burroughs novel, it probably would have been better, to be completely honest. And it's written in such a way that it works as a standalone. I would read the Eragon books, the Inheritance Cycle books first. I wouldn't just read this. If you really wanted to, I guess you could, if Murtagh just seems like a better protagonist to you. But again, it's a little long. It doesn't need to be. But it is really easy to read, I think. And like I said, Paolini did impress me with his improvement in his writing, though admittedly it's been over a decade since I've read, Inheritance. So I don't remember if that's actually good or not, because it's all tinted by nostalgia bias. So overall, though, I did enjoy it. I'm glad I read it, and we'll see if this turns out to be a standalone or if we'll get more involving Murtagh in this sleeper. We'll definitely return to Alagacia, I feel like, at some point. Whether Murtagh is the protagonist or how far in the future that is, we shall see. But overall, I did enjoy this. Not my favorite. It kind of reminds me of YA fantasy, and it's cool to see YA fantasy that's not written in such tropey ways that you kind of generalize that are for girls. But still, it's good.